He was only 12 years old, yet life had already carved heavy lines of maturity across his small face. Hamza, son of a maid who scrubbed floors for the wealthy in Karachi, had grown up with an unusual gift, sharp observation, a restless mind, and the stubborn courage to speak when others would stay silent. That courage was about to push him into a moment he never asked for. One single choice stood before him: should he keep quiet, as every adult would expect of a poor servant's child, or should he speak the dangerous truth he had stumbled upon, a truth that could destroy men far more powerful than him? If he chose silence, nothing would change. If he chose honesty, it might cost him and his mother everything. Would anyone even believe a boy like him? Or would his voice, fragile yet fearless, save a billionaire's fortune and reveal the darkness hiding in plain sight? The sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows of the Shahbaz mansion, spilling golden light across the marble floor where Hamza crouched, polishing the edge of a giant vase. Outside, the world was noisy, vendors shouting, traffic honking, children laughing on the dusty street, but inside this palace of wealth, silence reigned like a strict master. The only sound was the soft echo of footsteps, the occasional clink of cutlery, and the endless instructions shouted at the maids. Hamza's mother, Shabana, had worked here for 5 years. Every morning before dawn, she tied her faded dupatta tightly, kissed Hamza's forehead, and whispered, "Beta, today too we survive with honesty. Never forget who we are." That line lived in his heart like scripture. She earned little, but enough to feed him rice and dal most nights. Sometimes, when leftover bread came from the mansion kitchen, she would smile and call it a feast. Yet today was different. The atmosphere in the mansion trembled with hidden tension. Men in suits came and went with files in their hands, whispering urgently. The master of the house, Malik Shahbaz, a man in his 50s with a broad chest and a thick mustache, seemed restless. He was a businessman feared by many, admired by some, but trusted by few. Hamza had seen him smiling in front of guests but yelling at servants the very next second. As Hamza worked quietly, he noticed something unusual. On the grand dining table lay a pile of documents, thick folders with foreign names stamped across them. Normally, he wouldn't dare look. But one page had slipped out of a file, fluttering close to the floor where he knelt. His eyes, quick and curious, caught a headline printed across the top in bold letters. Yamato Holdings Offshore Transfer Agreement, $500 million. Hamza froze. He didn't understand everything, but he knew enough. He loved reading old newspapers thrown away by the mansion's guests. He had taught himself English words, tracing them with his finger at night under a dim bulb. He remembered reading about Yamato Holdings before, a giant Japanese company owned by a billionaire named Takahiro Watanabe, a man who had donated millions to schools across Asia. Why was his name here, inside Shahbaz's mansion? He bent closer, pretending to wipe the table leg. His lips moved silently as he tried to read the smaller words. Transfer, authorization. Cayman, proxy signature. Words that smelled of trickery. His heart beat faster. Something wasn't right. Suddenly, he heard a voice. "Boy! What are you doing there?" Hamza jumped back. It was Rizwan, Shahbaz's nephew, a sharp-eyed man in his 30s who always wore slick suits and golden cufflinks. His smile was as fake as the perfume he drowned himself in. "I was just cleaning, Sahib," Hamza stammered. Rizwan's gaze narrowed, then slid to the papers. For a split second, his face tightened, fear, then anger. He snatched the paper, shoved it back into the file, and leaned close to Hamza. "You didn't see anything. Understand?" His voice was a hiss, low but dangerous. Hamza nodded quickly, but his young mind was already racing. Something bigger than cleaning floors was happening here. Something worth $500 million. That night, when the mansion fell quiet and most servants slept on thin mats in the kitchen corridor, Hamza whispered the truth to his mother. "Ammi, I saw papers today. They're planning something with a Japanese company. Huge money. It didn't look right." Shabana's face turned pale. She hushed him, glancing around to be sure no one overheard. "Hamza, listen to me. You must not get involved in rich people's matters. They can crush us like ants. Do your work. Stay silent. Promise me."
But Amy, what if they are cheating that man? What if they are stealing?
Her eyes filled with both fear and love. She cupped his face. Beta, truth is heavy. Too heavy for poor shoulders like ours. Please, stay away. Hamza wanted to obey, but sleep would not come.
He kept imagining the name printed on that file, Yamato Holdings. He remembered a newspaper article that said Takahiro Watanabe had funded free hospitals after the tsunami in Japan. If a man like that was being robbed, wasn't it wrong to keep quiet? Days passed, and Hamza's suspicion grew.
He began to notice details. Foreign men came late at night, meeting Shahbaz in locked rooms. Rizwan carried USB drives and papers with strange seals.
Once, Hamza overheard two guards whispering near the gate.
500 million, it will all be ours soon, one said, grinning.
Hamza's chest tightened. He wanted to scream, but who would listen to a maid's son?
Then fate gave him a chance. One afternoon, while serving tea, he overheard Rizwan on a phone call in English. The words spilled into Hamza's sharp ears.
Yes, the forged documents are ready. Yes, Mr. Watanabe won't even know. By the time he signs, the transfer will be complete.
Forged.
The word struck like lightning.
They were faking documents to steal $500 million from the Japanese billionaire. Hamza nearly dropped the tray, but he steadied his hands. The world inside him spun. He wanted to shout, "Stop this! You are thieves!" But he swallowed his cry, knowing the consequences. That evening, as he walked home with his mother through the dusty alleys, Hamza spoke softly.
Amy, if we stay quiet, an innocent man will lose everything. Maybe Allah put me there for this reason. Maybe I must speak. Shabana stopped walking.
She looked at him with eyes filled with tears.
Hamza, you are just a child.
They will never believe you. Worse, they will punish you. What if they hurt you? What if they hurt us both? Her words cut deep, but inside his young chest burned a fire stronger than fear.
Then let them.
But silence is also a crime, Amy. His voice trembled, but his resolve was unshakable. That night, he couldn't sleep. He sat near the small window of their one-room home, staring at the stars. His heart whispered questions he couldn't escape.
Should I risk my life to stop men of power? Will anyone believe the words of a poor maid's kid? Or will my voice disappear in the dust of Karachi streets? And as the night deepened, Hamza made a decision, one that would set a chain of events into motion, reaching all the way to Japan, shaking the world of billionaires and criminals alike. Morning broke with the usual sounds of Karachi, the call of the azan, the cries of fruit sellers, and the rattling of rickshaws squeezing through narrow lanes.
But for Hamza, the world felt heavier, like a secret pressing against his chest. He had decided he would speak. No matter the cost. Yet who would listen? At the mansion, he returned to his cleaning duties, but his eyes were sharp, watching, waiting. He noticed Rizwan moving more hurriedly, whispering into phones, locking doors. The scam was reaching its final stages.
If Hamza didn't act now, it would be too late. That afternoon, while polishing the railing of the upstairs balcony, Hamza overheard Shahbaz himself speaking to Rizwan.
Tomorrow night the transfer goes through, Shahbaz said, his deep voice filled with greed. Once Watanabe signs that fake authorization, the money will shift to our Cayman account.
$500 million, Rizwan.
After this, no one in Asia can touch us. Rizwan chuckled darkly.
And no one will even know until it's too late.
Hamza's heart pounded so hard he thought they would hear it.
Tomorrow night.
The clock was ticking.
But where could he go? The police?
No, they were often bought by men like Shahbaz.
The newspapers? Who would print a story based on a child's word?
Then he remembered something, his schoolteacher, Sir Imran.
Though Hamza attended classes irregularly since his mother couldn't always afford the fees, Sir Imran always encouraged him. Your eyes see deeper, Hamza, the teacher once said. One day, your voice will matter. That memory gave Hamza courage.
After his shift, instead of walking home, he ran to the small school by the mosque, where Sir Imran often stayed late grading papers. The classroom smelled of chalk and dust. Sir Imran, a man in his 40s with tired eyes but a kind smile, looked up in surprise as Hamza burst in, panting.
Hamza? What are you doing here at this hour?
Sir, Hamza gasped, I know something very big. They are stealing money, $500 million, from a Japanese man.
Please, you must listen.
The teacher frowned, half amused, half worried.
Beta, slow down. What are you saying?
Hamza quickly told him everything about the papers, the overheard phone calls, the forged signatures. His words tumbled out in a rush, but his eyes burned with sincerity.
Sir Imran listened carefully. When Hamza finished, silence filled the room.
Hamza, the teacher said slowly, do you realize what you are claiming?
Men like Malik Shabazz are powerful. Dangerous.
If what you say is true, you could be risking your life.
I know, Hamza whispered.
But if I stay quiet, then I am helping them. The teacher leaned back, troubled.
He wanted to believe this boy. He had seen Hamza's sharpness before. But could a poor maid's son really uncover something this huge? Finally, Sir Imran said, all right.
If you are right, this needs to reach someone far beyond Karachi.
Someone who can actually stop it. I know a journalist, Sana Qureshi, she writes for an international paper. She's honest, fearless. Maybe she can help. Hamza's hope flickered.
But then fear clouded him. Sir, what if they find out I told you?
What if they hurt my mother?
Imran placed a hand on his shoulder.
Beta, truth is dangerous, yes. But it is also powerful.
If you are right, then this truth is bigger than Malik Shabazz.
Bigger than Karachi. You must be brave.
That night, Hamza returned home, his mind buzzing with both fear and hope. He told his mother about meeting the teacher.
Her reaction was instant panic. Hamza! Are you mad? Now you have dragged others into this? These people will not forgive us. They will kill us if they even smell suspicion.
Tears welled in her eyes.
Why can't you just stay silent? Why must you carry the world's burdens on your little shoulders? Hamza hugged her tightly. Because silence is heavier, Ami. He is a good man, that Japanese billionaire. He helps people. If they steal his money, how many poor will suffer?
Shabana wept silently, torn between fear for her child and pride in his courage. The next day, Sir Imran kept his promise. He arranged a secret meeting with the journalist, Sana Qureshi, in a quiet tea shop away from prying eyes. Hamza was nervous, but when Sana walked in, he felt a strange calm. She was in her 30s, with sharp eyes that looked straight through lies. So this is the boy, Sana said, sitting across from him. The one who claims to know about a $500 million scam.
Hamza swallowed hard but nodded. Yes, Baji. I saw the papers myself. I heard them speaking. They are forging documents to steal from Mr. Takahiro Watanabe. Sana studied him for a long moment. Then she leaned in.
Hamza, if what you say is true, you have stumbled onto one of the biggest financial crimes in Asia. But if you are wrong, you could destroy innocent lives and put your own in danger.
Are you sure?
Hamza met her gaze, unblinking.
I am sure. Sana exchanged a look with Sir Imran, then sighed. All right. Give me every detail you remember. Dates, names, words, anything. Hamza told her everything.
She scribbled notes furiously, her expression shifting from skepticism to grim seriousness.
Finally, she closed her notebook. If this is true, Malik Shabazz and his nephew are attempting international fraud. But I need proof, Hamza. Solid proof. Without it, no one will listen. Hamza's small hands clenched into fists. I can get proof. Both adults stared at him. Hamza, no. Sir Imran said. It's too dangerous. You can't just. But Hamza's mind was already racing.
He knew where Shabazz kept the files. He had seen the locked drawer, the safe code typed by Rizwan. His sharp eyes had memorized details others ignored.
Maybe he could get what they needed.
That night, as Hamza lay on his mat beside his sleeping mother, he stared into the darkness, his heart pounding with a mix of terror and determination.
He whispered to himself, I must do it. I must get the papers. Only then will they believe me. But even as he drifted into uneasy sleep, shadows moved inside Shahbaz's mansion.
Rizwan had noticed Hamza's unusual glances, his hovering near important rooms.
Doubt began to coil in his mind.
And somewhere deep inside, Rizwan muttered to himself, that boy, he knows too much.
The stage was set. A 12-year-old boy planned to risk everything to steal evidence from one of the most dangerous businessmen in Karachi.
And the men he was about to expose were already watching him closely. The night was unusually still. Karachi's usual hum of traffic and late-night chatter seemed to have died down, leaving behind only the sound of distant dogs barking and the occasional rickshaw rattling through deserted streets. But inside Hamza's chest, his heart was anything but quiet. Every beat felt like a drum echoing against his ribs. He knew what he was about to do could change everything, for better or for worse.
If he succeeded, the truth would have proof.
If he failed, he and his mother might vanish without a trace, swallowed by the powerful men whose secrets he dared to uncover. Hamza whispered a prayer under his breath, kissed his sleeping mother's hand, and slipped out into the night. His small figure disappeared into the shadows of the alley, carrying only a schoolbag and courage far bigger than his 12 years.
The Shahbaz mansion loomed ahead like a fortress.
Its tall gates stood shut, guarded by 2 men in black uniforms. But Hamza knew the rhythms of the house, the blind spots of its watchmen. For months, he had studied their movements while pretending to clean floors or sweep courtyards. He crouched low, crawling through a narrow side passage where the wall was broken, hidden by thick bougainvillea vines. He squeezed through the thorns, his shirt tearing slightly, but he didn't flinch. Once inside, he moved like a shadow, hugging walls and avoiding the pools of light cast by garden lamps. Every step reminded him of the stakes.
If they catch me, I am finished. But if I don't do this, the scam wins.
Inside the mansion, silence stretched like a taut rope. Most of the staff slept in their quarters, and Shahbaz himself was away at a late-night meeting. But Hamza feared Rizwan.
The nephew was always unpredictable, prowling the halls like a restless wolf. Hamza slipped off his sandals to silence his steps.
Barefoot, he crept toward Shahbaz's study.
He knew the room well, every corner, every creak of the wooden floor.
He had seen Rizwan unlock the steel drawer behind the desk before.
Hamza had memorized the numbers Rizwan's fingers tapped, 9-2-4-7. Reaching the study, Hamza pressed his ear against the heavy door. Nothing.
Slowly, carefully, he pushed it open and slipped inside. The room smelled of leather and cigar smoke. Moonlight spilled through tall windows, illuminating the massive oak desk.
Hamza's small hands trembled as he approached it.
He crouched, entered the code into the drawer, and click, it opened. Inside lay stacks of files, bound tightly, marked with red seals. Among them, Hamza's eyes caught the words he dreaded and hoped for.
Yamato Holdings, transfer authorization.
He pulled the folder out, heart hammering. Inside were forged documents, contracts with Watanabe's name, fake signatures, offshore account numbers.
His young eyes scanned them, and he knew this was the proof Sana needed. Quickly, he stuffed the papers into his schoolbag.
But as he turned to leave, a sound froze him.
A creak. Footsteps.
The door swung open.
Rizwan stood there.
His sharp eyes landed immediately on Hamza, on the open drawer, on the schoolbag bulging with stolen papers.
For a moment, silence.
Then Rizwan's lips curled into a slow, dangerous smile.
Well, he whispered.
I knew you were too curious for your own good.
Hamza's throat went dry.
His hands gripped the bag tightly.
I was just stealing from me?
Rizwan stepped inside, shutting the door behind him. His voice was calm, but his eyes blazed.
Do you even know what you've done, boy? Hamza's voice shook, but he stood his ground. I know you are stealing from Mr. Watanabe. I won't let you. Rizwan laughed, low and cruel. You? A servant's brat? Stop us? Do you have any idea who we are?
One phone call and your mother will disappear from this city like dust in the wind.
Hamza's chest tightened. Fear clawed at him, but so did anger. He looked Rizwan in the eye. Maybe I am just a servant's son. But truth doesn't need to be rich. It only needs to be spoken. For a split second, Rizwan's smile faltered.
Then his face twisted in fury. He lunged forward, grabbing Hamza by the collar.
Give me the bag. Rizwan snarled.
Hamza struggled, kicking and twisting.
No.
They stumbled, crashing into the desk. Papers scattered to the floor.
Rizwan's hand tightened around Hamza's arm, his grip like iron. But Hamza, small and wiry, slipped free for an instant long enough to dart toward the door.
Rizwan lunged again, but Hamza was faster. Barefoot, agile, driven by fear and desperation, he sprinted through the halls, clutching the schoolbag to his chest.
Guards shouted. Lights flicked on. The mansion roared awake.
Hamza dashed through corridors, heart pounding like a drum, until he reached the side passage. He squeezed through the thorny vines once more, scraping his skin, but he didn't stop. He burst out into the dark streets, his lungs burning, his ears echoing with Rizwan's furious shouts. Catch that boy. Don't let him escape. By the time Hamza reached the small alley near his home, his body was trembling. He collapsed behind a wall, clutching the bag, trying to breathe. He had the proof. He had risked everything and survived. But even as relief washed over him, a cold realization struck. Rizwan had seen him. They knew. His face, his name, his mother, all were in danger now. Somewhere in the distance, he heard the roar of a car engine. Headlights cut across the alley. Voices shouted his name. They were already hunting him. Hamza clutched the bag tighter, whispering, Ya Allah, protect Ami, protect me. But deep down, he knew the storm had only begun. And tomorrow, when Sana and Sir Imran saw the evidence, the truth would explode like fire across borders. The first light of dawn crept into Karachi, painting the narrow streets in a pale orange glow. But for Hamza, there was no peace in the sunrise. His entire body ached from the night's escape, and his mind raced faster than the traffic horns that would soon fill the city. He clutched the schoolbag, its weight more than just papers, it carried the fate of $500 million, and perhaps his own life. His mother was still asleep when he slipped out. He couldn't risk staying home. If Rizwan's men found him there, both of them would be lost. He whispered a prayer at the door, Forgive me, Ami. I'll come back for you, then vanished into the waking streets. By mid-morning, the city roared to life. Vendors shouted, buses groaned, rickshaw drivers cursed. Among the chaos, Hamza weaved through crowds, trying to look like any other boy running late for school. But inside, fear gnawed at him. He could almost feel Rizwan's eyes everywhere, on the rooftops, in the alleys, behind every car window. And he wasn't wrong. At the Shabazz mansion, Rizwan paced furiously. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his hair disheveled, but his anger was razor-sharp. That boy humiliated me, he spat to his uncle, Malik Shabazz, who sat calmly sipping tea. He has the documents. If they reach anyone, it's over. Shabazz's voice was low, steady, but deadly. Then don't let him reach anyone. Use every man we have. Find him. Silence him. Rizwan's smile returned, cold as steel. He won't escape. Not in this city. Hamza's first stop was the school. He knew he had to reach Sir Imran and Sana Qureshi with the evidence. As he slipped into the courtyard, children played cricket with a broken bat, their laughter echoing. For a moment, Hamza envied their carefree joy. But his heart sank when he found the classroom empty. Sir Imran hadn't arrived yet. Panic flickered. Time was running out. He turned to leave when his shadow moved at the school gate. Two tall men stood there, scanning the courtyard with sharp eyes. They weren't teachers, and they weren't parents.
Hamza froze. They found me. He bolted. Hey! Stop the boy, one of the men shouted.
Children screamed as Hamza sprinted through the courtyard, his schoolbag banging against his side. He leapt over a bench, darted into the corridor, and burst out the back door into the alleys behind the school.
The chase began. His bare feet slapped against the hot pavement.
Behind him, the heavy footsteps of grown men thundered. He ducked into a spice market, weaving through stalls, knocking over baskets of chilies and sacks of rice. Vendors cursed, but Hamza didn't slow. He pushed through the crowd, his lungs burning, his ears filled with shouts.
Catch him! There! Don't let him go!
He ducked under a cart, slipped through a narrow passage only a child could fit through. The men swore, losing ground, but they didn't stop. By late morning, Hamza found himself at the railway station. Crowds swarmed, families carrying luggage, porters yelling, trains screeching on rusted tracks. The noise and chaos gave him cover.
He crouched behind a pile of crates, gasping for breath. For a brief moment, he felt safe. Then he heard it. Search everywhere. He's here. Rizwan's voice. Hamza's blood turned cold.
Rizwan himself had come, flanked by guards scanning the station like hawks.
Hamza gripped the schoolbag tighter, whispering, Ya Allah, guide me. He needed to get out before Rizwan's men closed in.
Meanwhile, far across the city, Sana Qureshi sat in a small newsroom, typing furiously on her laptop. She had been waiting for Hamza since dawn. Her gut told her the boy had proof, something real. But with every passing hour, her worry grew. She called Sir Imran.
Have you seen him?
No, the teacher replied, voice tense.
And I'm afraid they may already be after him. Sana's jaw tightened.
She had covered dangerous stories before: corruption, smuggling, violence. But never had the fate of an innocent child weighed so heavily on her shoulders. Find him, she whispered. Before they do. Back at the station, Hamza spotted an old man selling tea near the platform. His small wooden stall had a crack where Hamza could hide. He crawled inside, curling into the shadows. The smell of cardamom and milk filled his nose.
Minutes passed like hours.
He heard boots stomping, voices shouting, Rizwan barking orders.
Then silence. He thought they had gone. He dared to peek out. And found Rizwan standing just a few steps away, smiling. Well, well. Thought you could hide from me, little hero? Rizwan's voice was calm, mocking. Give me the bag, and maybe I'll let you live.
Hamza's heart slammed in his chest. He clutched the bag tighter, shaking his head.
No. Rizwan's smile vanished.
He signaled to his men.
Take him.
The guards lunged forward. Hamza burst from the stall like a cornered cat, darting into the crowd. Chaos erupted, people shouted, luggage toppled, a child cried as Hamza shoved through.
Rizwan roared in fury, pushing after him. Hamza's mind screamed one thing: find Sana. Find Sir Imran.
He sprinted toward the street outside the station. A bus screeched to a stop, doors open.
Without thinking, Hamza jumped in. The driver yelled, Oi!
Fare, but Hamza ignored him, collapsing onto a seat, clutching the bag to his chest. The bus jerked forward.
Rizwan's men burst out onto the street just seconds too late, shouting in frustration as the bus disappeared into the traffic.
Hamza slumped, shaking, tears stinging his eyes.
For now, he was safe. But for how long?
Far behind, Rizwan stood in the middle of the road, fists clenched, fury burning in his eyes.
Run, boy, he muttered. Run as far as you like. You can't hide forever.
Hamza leaned against the rattling bus window, exhaustion pulling at him. But his spirit refused to break.
He had the evidence. He had escaped again.
Now he only had one mission left: deliver the proof into the right hands before Rizwan's shadow fell on him once more. The bus rattled and groaned through Karachi's traffic, but for Hamza, every turn of the wheels was like a drumbeat of destiny. He held the schoolbag so tightly his fingers ached. Inside lay the truth papers that could destroy men like Malik Shabazz and Rizwan. But the truth meant nothing if it never reached the right ears.
Hamza knew only one name that could help, Sana Qureshi.
She was his only chance to get the evidence to Mr. Takahiro Watanabe before the money disappeared forever. By afternoon, Hamza stumbled into the small tea shop where Sana and Sir Imran had promised to wait. His face was drenched in sweat, his shirt torn, his small body trembling from exhaustion. The moment Sana saw him, she rose from her chair. Ya Allah! Hamza! He collapsed onto the wooden bench, clutching the bag. I have them, he gasped. The papers. The proof. Sir Imran rushed to steady him, pressing a glass of water into his hands. Beta, you're safe now. You did it. Hamza pulled the folder from his bag, spreading the forged contracts across the table. Sana's sharp eyes scanned every page. With each line she read, her expression grew darker, graver. This, she whispered, this is undeniable. These are forged authorization documents. Offshore accounts. Fake signatures. She looked up at them. This isn't just fraud. This is international crime. Hamza's chest heaved, but hope flickered in his eyes. So now they will listen? Sana nodded slowly. Yes. But Hamza, once this goes public, Shabazz and Rizwan won't stop hunting you. They'll do everything to silence you. Hamza swallowed hard. Let them try. I don't care. Just, don't let them win. That evening, Sana returned to her newsroom, her hands trembling as she typed. She scanned the documents, photographed them, and drafted a report that could shake the financial world. But she didn't stop there. She knew time was short. Through her contacts, she reached out directly to Tokyo. Within hours, a message was delivered to Yamato Holdings. And on the other side of the world, in a gleaming glass tower, Takahiro Watanabe himself sat at his desk when the call came. Sir, his assistant said, handing him the phone, it's urgent. A journalist from Pakistan claims there is an attempt to defraud your company. Watanabe frowned but answered. This is Watanabe. Speak. On the line, Sana's voice was calm but firm. Mr. Watanabe, I am calling from Karachi. I have evidence, clear evidence, that a fraud is being attempted against you. $500 million. Forged documents, fake authorizations. I have the proof in hand. There was silence on the line. Then Watanabe's deep voice, measured and grave, how did you come by this evidence? Sana's eyes flicked to Hamza, sitting quietly across from her. She lowered her voice. A child. A maid's son. He risked everything to get these documents. Without him, you would have lost everything. For the first time in his long career, the Japanese billionaire was speechless. He leaned back, staring out at Tokyo's skyline. A child? Yes, Sana said. A child who chose truth over fear. Within hours, Watanabe mobilized his legal team, his banks, and even the Japanese embassy in Islamabad. Alerts were sent, accounts frozen, suspicious transactions flagged. The scam that was moments away from success began to collapse before Shabazz and Rizwan could move the money. But while the world started listening, the predators grew desperate. At the Shabazz mansion, chaos erupted. Phones rang, emails came flooding in. The Cayman account had been frozen. The Japanese embassy demanded answers. Shabazz slammed his fist against the desk. How? How did they know? Rizwan's face twisted with fury. That boy. It has to be him. He took the documents. And that journalist, she's helping him. Shabazz's eyes narrowed. Then silence them. Tonight. Before they spread it any further. Rizwan's smile returned, cold and sharp. Don't worry, uncle. By sunrise, the boy won't be a problem anymore. That night, Sana and Sir Imran sat with Hamza in the teacher's modest home. The atmosphere was heavy, tense. Hamza had finally allowed himself to eat, though his hands still trembled. Beta, Sir Imran said softly, you've done something no grown man dared to do.
You should be proud. Hamza looked down at his plate. But they won't forgive me. They'll come for me and Ami.
Sana leaned forward.
Hamza, listen to me. Watanabe's people know now. You've already won half the battle.
But you're right, Shabazz won't let this go easily.
You need protection. Protection? Hamza asked. Yes, Sana said. And I know someone in the embassy who might help.
But we must move carefully.
Tonight, we stay quiet. Tomorrow, I'll get you to safety.
For the first time in days, Hamza felt a sliver of relief. Maybe, just maybe, the nightmare was ending. But outside, in the shadows of the street, a black car idled. Inside, Rizwan sat smoking, his cold eyes fixed on the faint glow of lights inside Imran's home.
He flicked ash from his cigarette, smirking. Enjoy your peace, little boy. Tonight will be your last. As midnight crept closer, Hamza drifted into uneasy sleep on a thin mattress.
But in the distance, footsteps approached. The hunters were closing in.
The city of Karachi slept uneasily that night.
The hum of rickshaws had faded, the vendors had closed their stalls, and only the barking of stray dogs broke the silence. Inside Sir Imran's modest home, Hamza slept fitfully, clutching his mother's scarf like a shield. His chest rose and fell in restless waves, the weight of his daring still pressing on his young heart. But outside, shadows moved. A black car rolled slowly down the narrow lane, its headlights dimmed. Inside, Rizwan leaned forward, his jaw clenched, his eyes burning with hatred.
This is it, he muttered to the two men beside him. We end it tonight. No more loose ends.
The boy dies, the teacher dies, and that journalist learns her place. The men nodded silently, checking their pistols. Inside, Sana sat awake with Sir Imran, whispering over cups of tea. We can't wait till morning, Sana said, her voice taut with urgency.
I'm getting Hamza out tonight.
Watanabe's people have already messaged me, they'll provide security, but we must reach the embassy first.
Imran shook his head. The streets aren't safe. Shabazz will be watching every road. As if on cue, the faint crunch of footsteps echoed outside. Sana froze. Imran's eyes widened.
Then, 3 sharp knocks on the door.
Sana's heart pounded. Imran rose cautiously. Who is it? Silence. Then a voice, low and mocking, open up, teacher. You have something that belongs to us.
Sana's blood ran cold.
She grabbed Hamza's shoulder, shaking him awake. Hamza! Beta, wake up now. Hamza blinked, confused, then saw Sana's terrified eyes and understood instantly.
His body stiffened.
They found us?
Yes, Sana whispered.
But listen to me, you must be brave one more time. No matter what happens, don't let go of that folder. That folder is your shield.
The door rattled violently as Rizwan's men slammed against it.
Imran locked it tight, but he knew it wouldn't hold. Rizwan's voice cut through the night. Give me the boy, and maybe I'll let the rest of you live.
Resist, and I'll burn this house to the ground.
Hamza stood up, shaking but firm. No. I won't go back. Suddenly, a loud horn blared from the alley. Bright headlights flooded the lane, blinding Rizwan's men.
The screech of tires followed, and 2 armored jeeps skidded to a stop.
Out stepped uniformed men, Japanese embassy security, their insignias gleaming under the streetlights.
At their center stood a tall, stern man with silver hair, Mr. Kenji Sato, Watanabe's special envoy.
Step away from that house. Sato barked in perfect Urdu. Rizwan cursed under his breath. How are they already here?
Sato strode forward, his voice like thunder.
Because truth travels faster than lies.
And tonight, a boy carried that truth.
The standoff exploded. Rizwan's men drew their guns, firing into the night.
Embassy guards returned fire, bullets shattering glass, sparks flying from walls.
Sana dragged Hamza to the floor, shielding him with her body as chaos erupted outside.
Imran grabbed a metal rod, his teacher's heart turning into a warrior's resolve. He faced the door, ready to defend his student with his life. In the middle of it all, Hamza clutched the folder to his chest, his lips trembling as he whispered, "Ya Allah, please protect us." Within minutes, embassy guards overwhelmed Rizwan's men, forcing them to surrender. Rizwan, however, slipped into the shadows, his rage boiling. He kicked open the back door, storming into the house with gun in hand. His eyes locked on Hamza.
"You ruined everything," he roared. Sanaa stepped in front of the boy. "You'll have to go through me first." Rizwan sneered. "Gladly." He raised his gun. But before he could fire, a deafening crack echoed. Rizwan staggered, clutching his arm. His pistol clattered to the floor. Behind him stood Sato, calm and unflinching, pistol still smoking. "You lost, Mr. Rizwan," Sato said coldly. "And the world will know your name, for the coward you are." By dawn, police swarmed the street. Rizwan and his henchmen were dragged away in handcuffs, their empire of lies collapsing. Malik Shabazz, too, was arrested before noon, his properties seized, his accounts frozen. The news spread like wildfire across Pakistan and Japan. Headlines screamed, $500M fraud foiled, poor boy's courage saves Japanese tycoon. Cameras flashed as reporters crowded outside the embassy gates, eager to glimpse the boy at the center of it all. Inside the embassy, Hamza sat nervously in a chair far too big for him. His mother, tears streaming, held his hand tightly. Across the polished table sat Takahiro Watanabe himself, flown in overnight from Tokyo. The billionaire studied the boy silently, his sharp eyes softened with emotion. Finally, he stood and bowed deeply. "Hamza," he said, his Japanese accent thick but clear, "you saved not only my fortune, but my family's honor. You are braver than men 10 times your age." Hamza's eyes widened. I just didn't want them to win." Watanabe smiled faintly. "And because of that, you did win. You stopped a crime, and you reminded us all that truth still matters." He placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "From this day forward, you will never be alone. I will ensure your education, your future, and your family's safety. You have my word." Hamza's mother broke down, sobbing with gratitude. For the first time in years, hope filled her heart. As weeks passed, life changed. Hamza returned to school, no longer just a poor maid's son, but a symbol of courage across nations. Sanaa's report went viral, earning international recognition. Sir Imran's school received donations, enough to rebuild and expand. And somewhere in a prison cell, Rizwan and Shabazz sat in silence, haunted by the memory of the boy who destroyed them. On a quiet evening, Hamza stood on the school rooftop, gazing at the stars. Sanaa approached, smiling softly. "Still thinking about everything?" she asked. Hamza nodded. "Yes. It feels unreal. I'm just a kid. Why me?" Sanaa placed a hand on his shoulder. "Because sometimes, it takes the smallest voice to speak the loudest truth. And you did." Hamza looked back at the stars, his eyes shining. For the first time, he didn't feel like a poor maid's kid. He felt like someone who mattered. Truth may be fragile, but when spoken with courage, it can defeat the strongest of lies. Even the weakest, even a child, can change the course of history if they refuse to stay silent.